Good evening. Let me get my mic and everything together real quick. Make sure it's hitting the way it's supposed to be hitting. I really ain't got time to check it. I'm gonna just throw this thing together. So today, the purpose of this video is to show people who are trying to get into welding inspection or just inspection in general, whether you're going for utility welding, coating, whatever, inspection. With more of a focus on welding inspection, because that's the way that I got in. I can't tell you how to get in a different way 100%, but I can tell you how I got in. And this video is in no way trying to trick the system, cheat the system, or anything like that. It's more an attempt to cheat the system that you might have in your head about how to go about doing this. For example, I wanted to do what I'm doing now, not specifically what I'm doing now, but I wanted to be out on the pipeline working and, you know, making some good money, welding and all that type of stuff 10, 20 years ago. But here I find myself 10, 20 years later, finally getting into it. So first things first, you want to choose what craft you're going to focus on. I chose welding because I've been around welding, was a hull technician on board a Navy vessel. Not much tears up on a ship to where you have to weld things just 24/7. So I didn't get a whole lot of experience myself when it comes to welding. Leaving the Navy, I went looking for welding jobs, and I found it extremely difficult to get into that line of work. Not knowing anybody, just walking into our office and saying, hey, you know, I want to learn how to weld, or I want to be a welder. I've got to be a welder's helper, operating equipment that in the vicinity of welding and all that type of stuff. So I kind of know more than the average person does when it comes to welding, but I'm not a certified welder by any means. It really will pay off if you have some welding experience. The background is in welding. It would put you way further than the average person coming in with no welding experience, but it's not required. So basically, I chose to go with the welding certification, the welding inspection certification, the CPWI plus V. It's offered at the NWIS National Welding Inspection School down in Burton, Texas. I believe it's an hour north of Houston or something like that. I may be wrong. The class is 6 days long. You sit in class from Monday to, I believe, Thursday. You go to the lab, and there's 20 stations in the lab, or at least it was when I did mine in 2024. 20 stations in the lab. Each one of them is a question on the test. And you're only allowed to miss a certain amount of those before, you know, you have to redo the whole thing. The exam itself that you sitting in class for all week long is stuff that you should be studying before you even make it there. API 1104 is the book that you need. I would grab that book and as many practice questions or practice tests that I can before I ever made it to that school. Months in advance. I did mine probably about 6 months in advance. For a good 5-6 months, I studied, answered questions left and right, just made flashcards with questions on them and answers on the front. It's about 100 questions. It's all multiple choice. I put the 4 multiple choice answers on the front of the card underneath the question and the correct answer on the back of the card, so that I can test myself each time without having something circled telling me exactly what it is. It makes me think, what is the answer to this? Okay, I'm used to seeing this right here. You know, that's the answer. Turn it around. Sooner or later, I start taking those cards out of the deck, the ones that I have down by memory. I take them out of the deck and just focus on the ones that I really need to focus on. And by the time I'm passing all of them, I feel like I should be able to pass that same test when somebody else gives it to me, which is in the classroom. The 20 questions you don't get access to before you get in there. You're going in there with the assumption that you've been around welding, you know this stuff, and you're trying to be an inspector now. To give you a heads up, I brought some of the tools that you'll be tested on in the lab. This is what we call a digital caliper. Whether you know how to use one or not, you need to get your hands on one. Find you one, see how it works, watch some videos on it, figure out how to zero it out, all that type of stuff, and get real familiar with one of these tools right here. It's on the test. You will have to use it. You have to find maybe thickness of the metal or just whatever. Get you one of these. You can get one from Harbor Freight, but you'll get a flimsy plastic one. They may have some electronic ones, but get you one of these and learn what to do with it. This next thing I got here is a pipe well gauge. I actually bought this one from the NWIS school, and it's got, you know, the bevel spacing, the land. You can see all the measurements, the bevel angle, reinforcement. You can see little area there, and on the bottom what shows, you know, cap height, width, and all that stuff. Learn how to use these. That's going to be on the test. I don't remember this one being on the test, but it wouldn't hurt you to kind of know how to use one of these. It's a spacing tool. You stick it between the pipes and it shows you just how thick, how much of a root gap you have. That's a good tool to have if you're getting in the inspection period. The high-low gauge, and it's falling apart, I guess because it stays in there all the time. You stick that between the pipes when they butted up to each other, and it'll show you just how much high-low you have. You have to just read the measurement that it indicates right there on the line right there. Misalignment tool that you stick down into the pipe, turn it to where it's touching both sides, and let go, and it shows you on that line also if you got misalignment. Shows you how much undercut you have. If you take that, lay it flat down on the pipe like this, loosen your screw up, and let that just drop down into the wherever you find undercut. This is visual. You're looking with your eyes to see where holes may be or dips or anything like that, and you drop that needle down inside it, and then you lock it over there. Turn it around, read how much undercut you have, and it's a certain amount that you're allowed to have according to API 1104. Same with all these other tools. API 1104 spells out what you're allowed to have and what you're not allowed to have. Cam type gauge. I don't remember using one of these on the test, but it's not a bad tool to have either. Get you one of them, figure out how to use it. So many different things that this can be used for. You can find undercut with this also. But like I said, I'm not going to show you how to use each and every one of them. You got an inspection mirror. That's a tool that you're going to always see in inspection. Then you got your cap gauge or whatever, or butt well reinforcement gauge right here, which you can also measure a few other things: fillet well length, max convexity, concavity. Get you one of them, check it out. Then we got this thing here, which is on the test. It's gonna be a different kind of gauge, but this is the one that I bought for myself. Looks like a measuring tape. It is a measuring tape, but it's a pie tape. You wrap it around the pipe and bring it around to whatever the pipe is, line it up at 0 right there, and that's where you get your pipe diameter, the outside pipe diameter. That'll be on the test. That's an important one right there. You don't want to miss that one. Then you got your flashlight. There are more tools than what I have right here, but these are the ones that I use, you know, give or take a few of them on a daily basis when I'm doing welding inspection. Get at least these tools right here if you're getting into the welding inspection. If you're trying to go into welding inspection, get these tools, learn how to use them, crank out them practice tests. Get as many practice tests done before you go up in there, before you pay your money to go and take this exam, because some things might have changed since I've been in there. But you're gonna want to know what API allows, what API 1104 allows, what's important in API 1104. You don't have to read the whole book, but know how to find the answers to these questions in the book. That's what it all boils down to. It's not even about knowing the correct answer. If you know the correct answer, sometimes it saves you a lot of time on the test. But if you don't know the correct answer, at least know how to find the correct answer. That's the whole point in tabbing and highlighting your book when you do go to the class. So you really want to pay attention when you get in this class, because they're gonna tell you what you need to tab and highlight. it's up to you to go and find all that stuff when it comes time to take this exam. So yeah, like I said, the first few days, you're going to be going through this book, just, going over everything that the test involves, the written test. The 100 questions, I would say that me personally, I found all that stuff pretty easy to do. It was a lab that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know that it was even a part of it until I got in there. I read all the information and saw lab and stuff like that everywhere, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it consisted of. If you listen to the stuff that I just told you and applied and study as much as you can before you go and take this exam, you got a good chance at passing it the very first time around. Now, passing this exam doesn't make you qualified to, inspect wells or, qualified to do anything really. It makes you certified. You're certified, which gives you an opportunity to get out there and learn what you need to know when it comes to welding inspection or utility inspection or whatever. It gives you the opportunity. It opens the door for you to get out there. The real work starts when you get out there in the field and you start seeing the things that you got to measure and understand and know the answers to and stuff like that, and being able to find this stuff. That's where you get qualified at, when you start putting the work in. The certification is just a certification. It's just saying, hey, he passed this class right here. If you don't have the mental capacity or the want to even get out there and learn this stuff and apply it, there's no point in even getting to it, because it's just going to get harder. It's like I said, this welding inspection is only a piece of the whole puzzle when it comes to the world of welding, the world of oil and gas and all that stuff. It's so many different roads in there. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion, because you can venture off into other areas, and this area over here that you just left is going to tie into that next area in some kind of way, which means you got more room to kind of maneuver, but you don't have to do the same thing all the time. The person that loses at this is the person that goes and gets that certification and thinks, man, I'm going to make some good money. I got the certification. That's it. It's way more to it than that. And I'm not trying to scare you off by saying it's way more to it than that. I'm trying to prepare you, let you know it doesn't stop when you get the certification. Get the certification, get in the door, and figure out how, what, when, where, and all this stuff applies. And you can make it, you can take yourself to another level, move on up. So, I don't know if I covered everything, but man, it's been 18 minutes. I'm going to edit this video so you won't see that it's 18 minutes. But yeah, man, any questions when it comes to API 1104, like getting into inspection, or my, any advice or anything like that I can give, just reach out with questions, comments, or whatever. And man, go get it, bro. That's all I can say.